Rain was hammering the roof so hard it sounded like the sky was cracking open, and the hallway lights flickered like something out of a movie. The air smelled like wet pavement and bad memories. I was halfway through a cold slice of pizza, sitting on the floor of my half-furnished apartment, when the buzzer went off. Long, insistent. Not the kind of ring someone gives when they're confused. This was the kind of ring someone gives when they know exactly where they are, and they want to be let in. I stood up slowly, wiping grease from my fingers onto my shirt without thinking. Checked the peephole. And there she was. Brittany. Hair soaked and clinging to her face. One shoe missing. Clutching her phone like it was the only thing keeping her heart beating. And she had the nerve to wear the hoodie she stole from me 2 years ago. The one she said she never liked but never gave back. I didn't open the door. I didn't speak. Just stared through the peephole, wondering if maybe I was finally losing it for real. Because she left me. Just left. For a party. 2 years ago. Red dress. Manicured nails. Curled hair. Eyes full of contempt. "It's Mandy's birthday," she had said. "Don't wait up." And I didn't, not just because I was tired of begging for scraps of her attention, but because part of me already knew she wasn't coming back. The way she looked at me that night, it was like I was a burden. Something she had to shrug off to go be the real version of herself. That version didn't include me. She walked out and never came home. Tried calling, texting, reaching her parents. Nothing. It was like she'd been deleted from existence, but only for me. A week later, I heard from a mutual friend that she'd flown to Miami with Ryan. Some clown she worked with. She called it finding herself. I called it betrayal. I moved 3 states over. Changed jobs. Sold everything. Went dark. I rebuilt my life from scraps with the weight of her absence still clinging to me like smoke. And now, she was outside my door like it was nothing. Like we were just picking up after a stupid fight. She finally noticed I wasn't opening the door. Looked straight into the peephole like she could see me. "I know you're in there, Jake," she said, voice hoarse. "Please. Just 5 minutes." The audacity. 5 minutes. That's all she thought it would take? My hand hovered over the lock. Not because I was thinking about letting her in, but because I wanted to see why she was here. Because women like Brittany only come back when their world is burning down. And something in her eyes told me it already had. I opened the door. Not because I forgave her, not even close. I just needed to see it. See the damage. See what was left of the woman who'd once said she loved me, and then disappeared into thin air like I was nothing but a chapter she skipped. Brittany stumbled forward like she thought I'd pull her into my arms. I didn't move. She looked smaller than I remembered. Pale. Frayed around the edges. That calculated confidence she used to wear like perfume? Gone. Just an empty shell now. Wrapped in a soaked hoodie and smeared mascara. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Still. Her voice cracked through the silence with the same manipulative softness she'd always used when she wanted something. "Jake." I didn't know where else to go. I shut the door behind her, didn't answer. Just walked to the kitchen and grabbed a towel. Tossed it her way. She flinched when it hit her hands. "Good. You got 3 minutes," I said. "Talk." She hesitated. Took a shaky breath. "I messed up." That made me laugh. The kind of laugh that doesn't sound human. Bitter and dry and almost feral. "Messed up," I repeated. "You abandoned me." Her eyes welled up instantly. Like she couldn't believe I wasn't hugging her. Wasn't telling her everything was okay. Like the last 2 years hadn't happened. "Ryan lied to me," she said quickly, desperate. "He told me things. About you. Said you were cheating, that you'd been sleeping around. He showed me screenshots, Jake. I didn't know who to believe. I didn't even blink. Then why didn't you ask me?" I said low. "Why didn't you call me once before vanishing with him?" She opened her mouth. Closed it. Looked down. "Because I wanted to believe him," she whispered. "It made it easier. I needed a reason to leave." There it was. The truth. She wanted to believe I was the villain so she could run off with her new toy without guilt. She didn't care if it was true. She just needed to justify stabbing me in the back. "You didn't leave because of me," I said, voice sharper now. "You left because you're a coward." Her mouth twitched. I thought we were dead already, Jake. You were distant. Always working. Always tired. You made me that way. I snapped. You spent months checked out, glued to your phone, turning your back to me in bed every night. You think I wanted to become a ghost in my own home? She stepped back like I'd hit her. I didn't care. What happened? I asked finally. Why now? Why show up 2 years later with no warning? And just like that, her entire face changed. The tears stopped. Her lips tightened. Eyes narrowed. He left me, she said flatly. There it was. Ryan, the bartender, the fun guy, the one she threw our marriage away for, had dumped her. And now she was crawling back. To me. The safe option. The fallback plan. The one she thought would still be here, waiting. You weren't supposed to move on, she said, and it was the most honest thing that ever came out of her mouth. And the most disgusting. I stared at her, stunned. Not at what she said, but at the fact that she believed it. You need to leave, I said quietly. Now. Jake, please, she stepped closer, hands shaking. I don't have anywhere to go. Not my problem, I cut her off. But she didn't move. Her face twisted into something colder. The fake sweetness melted right off. And just like that, the rail Brittany stepped into the room. You think she cares about you? She hissed. That new girlfriend of yours? I've seen her. She's not me. You think she's gonna stay when she finds out who you really are? Ah. So she had been watching. Suddenly it all made sense. This wasn't a desperate plea for forgiveness. This was a mission. She didn't want me back. She just didn't want anyone else to have me. And that was just the beginning. She didn't even pretend to be hurt after I told her to leave. That mask of vulnerability? Gone. Just like that. 1 second she was the broken woman in the rain, begging, and the next she was Brittany again. Cold. Sharp. Calculating. The same woman who once told me during a fight that being married to you feels like drowning in beige. She crossed her arms and stared me down like she was back in control. You're seriously going to throw me out in the middle of the night, she said. After everything? I tilted my head. Everything? You mean like the time you ghosted your own husband for a guy who served tequila shots for a living? Her eyes narrowed. Don't talk about things you don't understand. Oh, I understand just fine, I said. I understand you ran off with someone who fed your ego and promised you excitement. And now that the ride's over, you're looking for the one person stupid enough to still care. She didn't answer that. Instead, she walked past me like she still had that right and stood in the kitchen, dripping water on the tile. Looking around, judging. She always did that. Even in silence, she found a way to make you feel small. You're living here, she finally said. This is what you downgraded to? It was instinct, really, the laugh that came out of me. Not joy. Not amusement. Something deeper. Something darker. Better than living with someone who lies in her sleep, I said. That's when she lost it. Lies? You want to talk about lies? Let's talk about how you were so boring I had to fake half our marriage just to stay sane. There it was. No more mask. No more performance. Just her. Raw. Mean. Unfiltered. And I let her speak. Because I needed to hear it. Every last poison-soaked word. You think Ryan was the first? She hissed. You think I waited until the end? You were working late nights, remember? Business trips? I got tired of being invisible. You were already gone, Jake. I just got there first. I didn't respond. Because something inside me had just turned off. Whatever tiny, desperate ember of love or confusion or longing I might have buried over the last 2 years, she stomped it out with her own mouth. You done? I asked, voice steady. Too steady. She opened her mouth again, but I didn't let her. I don't care, I said. Not anymore. What you did, how many guys you fooled around with, it doesn't matter. You're not my wife. Not in any way that counts. Her nostrils flared. I could see the panic creeping back in. Because now she knew. I wasn't mad. I wasn't broken. I was done. She paced the living room like a caged animal. So what now? You just throw me out and pretend none of this happened. I shrugged. That's how you handled it. Her voice cracked then, not with fake tears, but with rage. I had to come back, she snapped. You don't understand what I've been through. No, I said, and I don't want to. She stopped. Went quiet. And that silence stretched between us like a wire ready to snap. Then she asked something so absurd it almost didn't register at first. Can I stay here, just for a few nights? I turned and looked her dead in the eye. You really think I'm going to let you sleep under my roof, I said, after you cheated, disappeared, lied about why, and then insulted everything about my life? She looked confused. Hurt. Like she truly couldn't understand the word no. So I clarified. You've got 30 seconds to get out, I said, walking to the door and pulling it open. After that, I call the cops. Your choice. She didn't move right away. But eventually she did. Grabbed her soaked purse, stepped out into the hallway and turned just before I shut the door. I hope she breaks your heart, she said. I hope she ruins you. And then she was gone. I leaned against the door, listening to her footsteps echo down the stairwell. It should have felt like victory. It didn't. Not yet. Because something about the way she said that last line felt more like a warning than a curse. The silence that followed was almost louder than the fight. I stood in the middle of my apartment, her scent still hanging in the air like a fog I couldn't clear. That floral one she used to wear when she wanted to be noticed, sweet, sharp, artificial. I locked the door. Deadbolt. Chain. Like it could keep her words out. But they stuck. I hope she ruins you. It echoed in the back of my mind long after she was gone. And not because I believed her. Not exactly. It was the way she said it, like she knew something I didn't. Like she'd seen something I hadn't. It took me a full hour to calm down. I showered. Changed clothes. Sat back on the couch with a glass of water I didn't drink. And then I did something I knew I shouldn't. I checked Claire's messages. She was the woman I'd been seeing for almost 7 months now. A nurse, smart as hell, calm, no drama. We met through mutual friends. She was the first woman who didn't make me feel like I had to earn her interest every second. Being with her felt easy. Real. But now I had Brittany's venom swimming through my veins and I needed to see something. Something solid. Something pure. The texts were normal. Sweet. A couple of memes. One message from earlier that night. Can't wait to see you this weekend. I miss you. I breathed out. Let myself relax. Maybe Brittany was just lashing out. Trying to poison the well on her way out. Wouldn't be the first time she tried to ruin something she didn't understand. And then right as I set my phone down, it buzzed. Unknown number. You don't know what she's hiding. That was it. No name. No follow-up. Just that one sentence. I froze. It couldn't be a coincidence. Couldn't be random. The timing was too perfect. But the number was completely new, no record of it in my contacts, no area code I recognized. I replied. Who is this? No answer. I stared at the screen waiting. 10 minutes passed. 15. Nothing. I called Claire. She didn't answer. Straight to voicemail. Now I was spiraling. I told myself it was nothing. Just Brittany playing games. But she couldn't have known Claire's number. Not unless. I opened up Brittany's old Instagram, one of the few accounts she hadn't blocked me from. She hadn't posted in months, but I noticed something weird. A story uploaded just hours ago. It was a photo. Of my apartment building. From across the street. Taken in the rain. The caption? Old habits die hard. I stared at it for a long time. My jaw locked tight. She had been watching. Maybe for weeks. Maybe longer. I'd been so focused on forgetting her that I never thought to check if she was already back. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a move. And I hadn't even seen the start of it yet. Sleep wasn't an option. I tried. I really did. But every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing that picture, my apartment building shot from the sidewalk like a scene in a stalker thriller. Brittany had been out there. Watching. Maybe listening. Maybe even closer than I realized. I turned off all the lights and pulled the curtains. Triple-checked every lock. The place was quiet, but it didn't feel safe. The worst part? I couldn't shake the idea that she wasn't working alone. The anonymous message about Claire. The way Brittany said, you think she's going to stay when she finds out who you really are? That wasn't just bitterness. It was targeted. Like she'd been waiting to drop that line at the perfect moment. Like she'd rehearsed it. I didn't want to believe Claire had anything to hide. But Brittany had a talent for digging under your skin, finding the hairline cracks, and splitting them wide open. I needed clarity. So I called Trevor, my best friend since middle school. He was the one person who stuck around through the fallout, the vanishing act, the rumors. The one who never once said I told you so. He picked up on the second ring. Tell me you're not calling because she showed up, he said, voice low and tired. Wish I could. Jesus, where? My place. A pause. You let her in? For about 5 minutes, I said. She melted down. Said Ryan dumped her. Tried to guilt her way into staying the night. Trevor exhaled sharply. You didn't let her, right? Of course not. Good. That woman is a virus, man. You let her get her foot in the door, she'll infect everything again. Yeah, well, I muttered, she already started. I told him about the text. The photo. The cryptic message. The thread about Claire. He was quiet for a second. Then said, you want me to look into it? Trevor was a PI now, left the military, got licensed, built up his own business in Chicago. He had a way of finding things no one wanted found. You think it's overkill? I think, he said, if Brittany's back, it's not by accident. And if she's dragging Claire into this, there's a reason. I gave him Claire's full name, phone number, a few details, where she worked, where she lived. I hated myself for it. Felt like I was betraying someone who'd only ever been kind to me. But something in my gut had started to itch. After we hung up, I sat in the dark, phone in hand, waiting for Claire to call back. She finally texted around 4:12 a.m. Claire, sorry. Fell asleep early. Everything okay? Normal. Innocent. But now I couldn't trust what was real and what was staged. Was she being genuine? Or was she carefully crafting that reply, trying not to tip me off? I stared at the screen for a full minute before typing. Me, yeah. Just had a weird run-in tonight. I'll tell you about it tomorrow. Claire, weird like how? You're okay, right? Me, I'm fine. Just tired. Call you after work. Claire, of course. Sweet dreams. The heart. I used to find comfort in that. Now it looked suspicious. Like a signature on a forged check. That's what Brittany had done to me. Warped my brain until I couldn't tell love from manipulation. And I was only just beginning to see how deep this thing was going. The next morning, Trevor sent me a name I didn't recognize. You need to ask Claire about Tyler Hayes. That's all I'll say for now. I stared at the message like it was a grenade. Because I didn't know a Tyler. But apparently, Claire did. The name wouldn't leave my head. Tyler Hayes? 2 words. That's all Trevor gave me. No context, no story. Just a name, like a key tossed onto a table right before someone walks out of the room and locks the door behind them. I Googled it, of course. There were hundreds. Athletes. Lawyers. A jazz musician from Oregon. But none of them seemed connected to Claire. Not that I could tell. And that's when I realized I didn't want to be that guy. The one who stalks his girlfriend's online life because his ex decided to kick open a door she had no right to even knock on. But I also couldn't ignore it. Trevor didn't deal in nonsense. He didn't throw names around just to stir up drama. If he sent me Tyler Hayes, it was for a reason. So I waited until Claire and I met for dinner that night. She showed up in scrubs, hair in a messy ponytail, smiling like it was just another Thursday. She kissed my cheek, asked about my day, told me hers. And I couldn't stop hearing Brittany's voice in the back of my head. You think she's going to stay when she finds out who you really are? I waited until the waitress cleared the plates. Until Claire started sipping her wine. Then I just said it. Who's Tyler Hayes? She didn't flinch. Didn't choke. Didn't laugh. But she didn't answer right away either. Her eyes shifted just slightly. Down to her glass. Then to the salt shaker. Then back to me. Why are you asking me that? She said softly. I didn't look away. Just tell me. She set her glass down. Folded her hands like she was bracing herself. Tyler was my ex, she said. We dated on and off for years. Before I moved here. It was complicated. How complicated? She sighed. He didn't want to let go. Even after I made it clear I was done. He showed up at my job a few times. Tried to message my friends. I blocked him. It's over. I nodded slowly. Then why did Trevor find his name linked to you, last week? That cracked something. Her face went still. Not scared, more like stunned that I'd known. She blinked. Frowned. He reached out again, she admitted. Just once. Sent me a DM from a new account. Said he was in town. Said he missed how things used to be. I didn't respond. I swear. I looked at her for a long time. Not angry. Just tired. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't want to give it power, she said. Didn't want to bring that into our relationship. You've already been through so much, Jake. I believed her. But it didn't make the feeling go away. That cold edge in my gut. Because I didn't find out from her. I found out from Trevor, who probably found it digging where no one should have had to dig. Claire reached across the table and touched my hand. I'm not Brittany, she said. I wanted to believe that. And I almost did. But when we got back to my apartment later that night, I noticed something. My bedroom window was unlocked. I always lock that window. It's a habit. A rule. And I hadn't opened it in weeks. I locked it again, slow, and turned to Claire. You opened this earlier? I asked, trying to keep my voice even. She frowned. No. Why? I didn't answer. Because if she didn't open it, then someone else had. And now I was done guessing. The game Brittany had started? It wasn't over. It hadn't even peaked yet. I didn't sleep. I lay there, eyes wide open, listening for sounds that didn't belong. Creaks, footsteps, anything. Claire slept beside me, completely still, breathing slow, peaceful. And that was the problem. I couldn't tell if it was real or if she was pretending. By sunrise, I'd made a decision. I got out of bed quietly, made coffee, and sat in the kitchen staring at the locked window like it was a crime scene. There were no fingerprints, no pry marks, nothing to prove someone had been inside. But I knew I hadn't left it open. So either I was losing it, or someone else had been here. Brittany? It wouldn't have surprised me. She knew where I lived, knew the layout, knew my routines. And more than that, she knew how to plant doubt like a seed and let it rot everything from the inside out. Trevor texted me around 9 a.m. Trevor, need to talk. Face to face. We met at a diner off the freeway, neutral ground, nowhere Brittany would look. He slid into the booth across from me. Serious as hell. No coffee. No smile. I found more on Claire, he said. My stomach sank. What does that mean? He reached into his coat, pulled out a folded manila envelope, and pushed it across the table. I wasn't going to dig. You asked about Tyler, I dug. But once I started pulling at threads, man, you don't even know how deep this goes. I opened the envelope. Photos, emails, screenshots, a copy of a police report. My brain struggled to keep up. Claire had a restraining order against Tyler. That much lined up. But the details? That's where it got murky. 3 months ago, the order was dropped by her. And 2 weeks after that, there were hotel receipts. 2 people. Same room. 2 nights. Could have been a coincidence, Trevor said. Until I pulled the security footage. He showed me his phone. Pressed play. Claire. Laughing. Getting into the elevator with a tall guy in a baseball cap. No sound. But the way she looked at him, I recognized that look. It was the look she used to give me. I'm sorry, Trevor said. I didn't want to be right. I sat there, staring at the screen. Not angry. Not heartbroken. Just numb. Why? I finally asked. Why stay with me if she was still messing with him? Trevor leaned in. Because she was hiding from someone worse. I blinked. Worse than Tyler? He nodded. Your ex-wife's been watching her too. What? He pulled up another photo. Surveillance still. Brittany. Sitting in a parked car across the street from Claire's apartment. Camera zoomed. Clear as day. She's not just obsessed with you, Jake. She's watching everyone close to you. She's not trying to win you back. She's trying to burn your life down piece by piece. I leaned back in the booth, my pulse thundering in my ears. Trevor's voice dropped lower. And she's not done. My phone buzzed in my jacket. I checked it. Claire, can you come home? Something weird just happened. There was a box on your doorstep. No name. No note. Trevor saw the look on my face. What now? He asked. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and said the only thing that made sense anymore. She's escalating. I drove like the pavement owed me answers. Every red light felt like a dare. My grip on the steering wheel was so tight my knuckles ached. Trevor followed in his car, insisted on it. I didn't argue. I didn't say much at all. The only thing running through my head was the box. No name. No note. Just like Brittany, messy, calculated, invasive. By the time I pulled up to the apartment, Claire was standing just inside the doorway, arms crossed tight over her chest. She looked pale, shaken. The box sat by her feet, taped shut. No markings, just plain cardboard. You didn't touch it? I asked. She shook her head. I don't even know who dropped it off. It wasn't there when I got up. I had a bad feeling. Trevor stepped in. Gloves already on. He crouched next to the box, studied it like a bomb tech. He didn't open it right away. First, he checked the seams. Pulled out a UV flashlight. Ran it along the surface. Claire's eyes darted between us. Can someone please tell me what's going on? I turned to her. You said Tyler messaged you last week. Her face tightened. Jake! Don't lie to me. I know about the hotel. She swallowed. Hard. Her lips parted. But Trevor's voice cut through. It's clear. No wires, no chemicals. Just paper inside. He looked up at me. You wanna open it? I didn't want to, but I had to. I crouched down, took the box, and slowly peeled the tape. Inside, A stack of printed photos. Dozens of them. Claire and I, walking, laughing, eating dinner on the patio 3 weeks ago. Me at work. Claire at her apartment. Claire kissing me goodnight outside the building. Zoomed in. Clear angles. And then, photos of me asleep. In bed. My bed. Photos from inside the apartment. Claire gasped, stepping back, hand covering her mouth. Oh my God. Trevor stood behind me silent. Watching. Calculating. At the bottom of the stack was one last photo. Claire. At the hospital. Talking to a tall man with a blurred-out face. But the focus wasn't on them. It was on the shadowy reflection in the window across the street. A woman holding a phone. Wearing that same oversized hoodie I knew too well. Brittany. Tell me, I said quietly to Claire, how long have you known she was watching? Claire looked at me like I'd stabbed her. I didn't. I swear. I didn't know it was her. I thought maybe it was Tyler. Maybe? I said. You thought your abusive ex and my psychotic ex-wife were interchangeable threats? She said she wanted to meet me. Claire suddenly snapped, tears forming. I didn't know it was her until I saw her face. She said her name was Lisa. She said she used to know you. I staggered back like the words had punched the air out of my chest. She met you. Claire nodded, ashamed. Only once. She said you were complicated. That she just wanted to talk to me. She was charming. Calm. I didn't think. Trevor cut in. This wasn't random. She's playing long-term now. She's manipulating everyone close to him. Building stories. Doubts. She's already inside. I looked down at the photos again. Inside. She had been inside. Not just watching. Not just threatening. She'd been in the room. In my apartment. Standing above me while I slept. And I hadn't even known. This wasn't about getting back together. This was about control. Trevor turned to me. You can't stay here. I nodded. And Claire, trembling, finally whispered what none of us wanted to say. She's not going to stop, is she? No. She wasn't. She was just getting started. We packed bags in silence. Claire grabbed essentials, scrubs, her passport, a duffel of toiletries, and barely spoke. She was shaking but focused. Controlled panic. I'd never seen her like that. No tears now, just urgency. Like some instinct finally kicked in and told her this wasn't just a bad ex problem. This was war. I took only what I needed, laptop, IDs, a change of clothes, and that box of photos. Because I was going to hand those to someone. Police? Lawyer? Didn't matter. Someone real. Someone who could stop this before Brittany's twisted games became something worse. Trevor stood at the door like a bouncer, watching every hallway shadow, hand under his jacket like he was carrying. Maybe he was. I have a place, he said. West side. Top floor. Secure garage. No name on the mailbox. We'll regroup there. Claire nodded. And then my phone buzzed. Blocked number. Trevor's hand moved instantly. Don't answer it. But I did. Because I already knew who it was. Hello? I said. The voice on the other end was calm. Crisp. Too cheerful. Leaving already? Brittany purred. You always were good at running. I said nothing. You should have invited me in, Jake. It's not polite to shut someone out. Especially someone who knows all your little routines. Why are you doing this? There was a pause. Then a soft, amused chuckle. I gave you a chance, she said. I came to your door. I asked to come in. But you just had to play the good guy, didn't you? You just had to push me out. And now you're clinging to someone who lies to your face. That's cute. You're sick. No, baby, she whispered, I'm committed. Big difference. I nearly crushed the phone in my hand. Whatever you think this is, whatever delusion you've built up in your head, it's over. I'm done being afraid of you. Another pause. Then she said something that turned my blood cold. Afraid of me? Oh, honey. You should have asked Claire what she told me that night. When she thought I was her new friend. She's not your victim, Jake. Neither of us are. You're the project. The line went dead. Trevor grabbed the phone from my hand, trying to trace it, but it was pointless. Burners, spoof apps, Brittany had always been good with tech. Claire looked at me then. Pale. Lips trembling. What did she mean? I asked. What did you tell her? She hesitated. Too long. Claire. She asked about you, she said finally. Asked if you ever got angry. If you had a temper. If you were possessive. I thought she was making sure I was okay. I didn't know who she was. I told her about a fight we had. The one where you shut down and didn't talk to me for a day. That's it? I think so. A pause. I might have said you can be hard to read sometimes. That you keep things in. That you never talk about your past. I stared at her. And realized what Brittany was doing. She was building a case. Not to win me back. To destroy me. To make me look unstable. Angry. Dangerous. She wasn't trying to break into my apartment. She was trying to break into my life and rewrite it from the inside out. Trevor snapped his fingers, snapping me out of it. Let's go. Now. We got in the car and pulled out of the lot. As we turned the corner, I glanced in the side mirror. And that's when I saw it. A car. Same make, same color as the one in Brittany's story. Parked under a dead street lamp. No driver visible. Just waiting. Watching. I didn't say anything. Because we were past warnings now. The next move was mine. Trevor's apartment was tucked behind a dead-end alley and layered in locks. Blackout curtains on every window. Cameras covering every angle. He lived like someone who had seen what people were capable of when they thought no one was watching. It was the first time in days I could breathe without looking over my shoulder. Claire sat on the edge of the couch. Silent. No phone. No distractions. Just her hands gripping each other so tight her knuckles were white. I had questions. She had answers. But none of that mattered right now. What mattered was that Brittany had drawn blood without lifting a finger. And she wasn't done. Trevor stood at the small kitchen counter, scrolling through footage he pulled from cameras he'd quietly installed around my building weeks ago. Just in case. Got something, he said suddenly, turning the laptop toward me. A grainy black and white video played. Time-stamped from the night before last, around 3:04 a.m. Brittany. Hood up. Moving fast. Confident. She picked the lock on the building side entrance like she'd done it before. She had done it before. Then the next clip, my hallway. She paused outside my apartment door, glanced around, slipped something from her bag, unlocked the window from the inside. I didn't move, didn't speak, but inside, I felt something break. Not fear, not even rage, something colder, something that said, if she's not going to stop, then neither am I. Trevor tapped another key and brought up still shots from the elevator footage. Brittany and a man. Not Ryan. This guy was bigger, older, face partially obscured by a hoodie, but not enough to miss the smirk. They weren't just watching me. They were working together. I ran the plates on the car you spotted, Trevor said, not looking at me. Registered to a shell company in Nevada. Guess what else that company owns? What? A short-term rental 2 blocks from your apartment. One Brittany Simmons checked into a week ago. Clicked. She'd never left. She'd been living nearby planning this. She hadn't come back because she missed me. She came back to erase me. Trevor leaned over the table. We've got 2 options. We take this to the cops now, restraining order, maybe a stalking charge if they actually give a damn. Or we pull her into the light. I finished. He nodded. She's strong when she's the shadow. When she's behind the camera. Behind the lies. But she doesn't do well when she's exposed. Claire looked up. What are you talking about? I'm saying, I said slowly. We stop reacting. We stop hiding. We make her move. Trevor smiled for the first time in days. Exactly. The plan came together fast. We leaked a fake message. An email thread Trevor mocked up between me and a lawyer, suggesting I was filing charges and subpoenaing surveillance from nearby stores. Then we planted a new camera facing the front of Trevor's building. We waited. Brittany took the bait in less than 24 hours. She showed up just after midnight. Alone. Hood off. Phone out. Pacing. Talking to herself. Trevor patched the mic feed into the laptop. She was ranting. Claire's gonna crack. She always does. She's weak. You just have to push her. Make her think Jake's dangerous. Make her think he's hiding something. He is hiding something. He always has. That man made me invisible. I gave him everything. She stepped closer to the door. I'll get him back. Or I'll burn him to the ground. Either way, I win. That was it. The confession. The unraveling. We had it all on tape. Next morning, we walked into a lawyer's office and handed them everything. Photos, audio, footage, names. By noon, Brittany was served with a restraining order. By 5, she was being questioned for trespassing and stalking. The final blow? Ryan. The one she claimed dumped her? He didn't. He left town because she started showing up at his job after he broke it off. Filed his own complaint weeks ago. She'd burned his life too. The truth collapsed around her like a sandcastle in high tide. I thought I'd feel relief. Maybe some kind of triumph. But mostly, I felt empty. Claire and I stayed at Trevor's a while longer. Talked. A lot. Cleared the air. I didn't know if we'd make it through this, but at least now, everything was real. No lies. No secrets. Brittany? She's gone. Out of my life. Out of my head. But not out